Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Curious podcast. I'm your host, Amy Butcher-Siegfried, and I'm delighted again to be joined by my co-host, my favorite brother, Scott. He is known as knowing as much about movies as he did about fashion on our fashion podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be done with football season so I can talk fashion and movies, my true passions.
For those of you who are not familiar with the podcast and how we work, it's always interesting because during the heights of seasons, lots of times there's things to talk about and things for us to share as we dive into this Wednesday podcast and take it a bit to more depth. But lots of times, we are finding these great topics that are out there and things happening in the pop culture world. But it definitely gets a summer with no World Cup and a summer with no Olympics is a challenging summer, which is why you should know more about sports movies, because what else are you doing this summer? There's baseball season and WNBA season. We have all those other things, but what are you doing? Watching movies. It's too hot.
We can't go outside where we live, so we're stuck inside.
No. And these movies you're going to have to add to your list.
Yes. So stay tuned to listen to see what you should be watching.
The summer movie edition. When
Yes.
Scott writes you a list of what you need to watch that impressed him so much.
They're all Nicolas Cage movies. Spoiler alert.
So this year we obviously have Oppenheimer that is at the top with the most nominations of 13. Poor Things, which earned 11 nominations. Killer of the Flower Moon. We have Barbie. Have you seen any of them?
I can confidently say that I have not seen any of these movies.
I'm not judging because I've only seen Barbie, and I just saw it like 3 weeks ago.
I mean, I've heard great things about Barbie.
It was different than I expected. I kind of expected it to be this sort of much more fun and happy-go-lucky type movie. Definitely not. Like at the end, I was like, oh.
Wow. Spoiler alert, but that's kind of shocking.
I mean, it's about like Barbie like thinking about death.
Oh.
It's at parts of it.
That's not the Barbie I think about.
No, and about society squishing women down to have to be this perfect little box. It's not too big, not too small, not too smart, not too dumb, not too pretty, not too ugly. Like it's a very powerful movie. And I actually read somewhere that as a woman, if you wanted to vet whether this person you were dating was worth it or not, you take them to this movie, and if they're outraged by all the things they talk about, then you don't keep dating them.
Wow. I didn't know Barbie could be so deep.
So the good news is no one's tried that on you, so that you're safe there because you haven't seen it.
Correct.
So
I'm safe.
You're safe there.
Safe for now.
Safe for now. Well, it'll be interesting to see how the Oscar. I love an award show. I don't know if you know about that about me because you're probably too little to know that about me when I left. But like, I love award shows. These are things we watch in our house. I love the glamour. I love the glitz. I love the usually kind of cheesy comedy that goes with it. Like an opener is always my favorite. But like the things we didn't expect to see at the Oscars, like the slap from Will Smith that we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's just one of those, like, I just love the fashion of it. And the tiny human sits with me and we look through all the dresses and he picks the ones that he thinks are pretty, which are usually like the Cinderella ball gown ones. But it's kind of fun. I don't know. There's something fun about it. Like, why not? Everyone loves to get dressed up.
And tune in to see if anybody gets roasted.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So I don't think we have any sports movies in this year's Oscars that I know of.
We have a sports adjacent movie.
Okay.
Not necessarily about sports, but it involves a sports team.
Okay.
Which I heard about when getting my hair cut because I don't necessarily watch movies. I heard a lot about it. It's called Society of the Snow. It's been nominated. And it's actually about a Uruguayan rugby team that got in a plane crash and survived, like, I think 72 days in the Andes in the winter.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awful.
So it's for best makeup and hairstyling and best international feature film. Found on
cool.
Netflix.
Okay, might have to add this to the list.
and based on a true story.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
Noted. Add it to the
I've
Netflix
been told,
list.
and I've been told for some reason there's an ample amount of cigarettes that they keep smoking throughout the 72 days for some
Well,
reason.
what else would you do? I
I don't
mean,
know if
I
they
would
were
probably
on. There was a
light them on
shipment of
fire.
cigarettes on the plane. Apparently, I don't know.
Oh, well, good to know. Okay, well, don't watch that with your children.
Yeah,
I think I heard about it, but I got it confused with the one, the Dahmer's Pass situation where they ate each other. I got those two
yeah.
confused. So when I heard about this, I didn't put two and two together. I didn't hear where they crashed. I didn't hear who it was. I just thought it was something similar. But then again, the Dahmer party was not made of a rugby team, so I don't know where I got that connection.
It was not. But similar circumstances. I think there may be people. I'm not. I can't confirm that yet.
Okay, well, when you watch it, report back.
Yeah, I will. Stay tuned.
Um, 80 for Brady. So that was a 2023 movie.
I'm
I mean,
stunned.
I think that one.
It wasn't nominated.
I'm sad about that. It was actually quite a funny movie, in all fairness. There were no good movies out at that point, and we don't even go to the movies very often, but we decided to go see it. I think mom told us it was funny. And it was funny. Like, you have to appreciate where it's at, right? It's kind of cheesy, funny humor of ladies in their late 70s and early 80s doing things like taking gummies at a Super Bowl party. Oops.
That's what I'd be doing if I was a 70 or 80-year-old woman. Let
Why wouldn't
loose,
you be, right?
live life.
It was that scene was probably the funniest thing that had us like laughing out loud.
Should have been nominated best comedy.
Where everyone turns into Guy Fieri because she's on gummies and she's playing poker, and all the people start turning into Guy Fieri.
So she went to Flavor Town.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Now, did I hear, not technically related to this, but did I hear that Travis Kelce is going to be an executive producer on a film that he's
He's
showing at
throwing
South by Southwest?
he's throwing his producer hat on after winning the Super Bowl. And South by Southwest in March, so coming up, I guess he would be eligible next year, technically.
Yes, so.
My dead friend Zoe is a dark comedic
Sounds
drama.
uplifting.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a dark comedic drama, so I don't necessarily know if that's funny or not. So
It,
we'll see if it gets nominated.
you never know. So, the Oscars are not really always known. They've gotten better, but they're not usually known for taking movies that you and I would really just love to sit and watch on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I think there's some this year that are, what is it, The Flowers and the Moon? Is
Killers of the
that
Flower.
the
That's a very intense story. It's sad because it's true, but it's a very intense story.
intense and very long? So movies like that,
Yes,
yes.
I don't have that much time.
No,
It would probably take me a little less to just a little bit more just to read the whole book.
yes.
I've heard the book is phenomenal. I have not read it yet, but I've heard from everyone who's read it that it's phenomenal. It's really well done.
The book on tape is very long too, from what I've been told.
Is it? I love that you just called it a book on tape, by the way. You think people still use tapes?
I do. I don't know what you're using.
You don't have a tape player. I've been to your house. You don't have a tape. You might have like an old Nintendo game or something, but you don't have a tape player.
Audiobook, as the kids call it.
That's okay. Okay. There you go. So one of the things I want to talk about, this is obviously about Oscar winning sports movies. And there are some incredible movies. Hopefully you've seen a few of these on this list. But I guess we can start let's start back with Will Smith and his movie where he portrayed Richard in the movie King Richard. Richard is Serena and Venus Williams' dad. Have you ever seen the movie?
I apologize. I have not.
It's one that I watched on a plane, and it was after the whole Oscar slap, I was sort of disenfranchised with Will Smith, so I couldn't watch it just out of sheer purpose. And then I watched it on an airplane. I think one of our trip overseas this last summer, and it was really good. It like gave you such respect for him, such respect for the girls, like his hustle
Mhm.
was incredible.
And the vision, I assume I haven't seen the movie, but I know the story relatively. His vision of, putting them through tennis to kind of get out of their situation that they were in,
Mhm.
and what it took to kind of break those barriers that no one's ever seen sisters like that thrive in the tennis
Yeah,
world. So,
and that man did not take no for an answer.
no.
I mean, you'd tell people would tell him no, and he'd be like, "All right, come back tomorrow." Like,
Mhm.
he was persistent, and if I'm guessing if it wasn't for him, they would have never been discovered because, unfortunately, tennis is that kind of sport that
Mhm.
it's not accessible to a lot of people. It's an expensive sport, similar to golf, and so
Yes.
getting access, I mean, golf at least now is having a lot of movements to bring golf to all communities, and but tennis is not that way to participate and play in tennis, and until you make it big, as we've talked about before on the podcast, you're not making a lot of money.
No, you're not. And that persistence obviously transferred down to his daughters, Venus and Serena, because I don't think they've taken no for an answer in anything in
No,
life. So,
no, absolutely not. So that was one I actually really
mhm,
highly recommend it. It's 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 a good movie. It's well done. It's well acted. Like it really will give you respect and appreciation for them.
mhm.
Do you have a favorite of the Oscar award-winning movies? Have you seen any of them?
The favorite that I've actually seen, I think Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the most legendary sports movies that's actually won an Oscar.
Well, we talked about the NFL Combine in last
Mm.
week's podcast, and it's incredible to take that and take kind of what we've talked about how agents are not only representing their clients, but out there smack talking the other athletes in the draft and all these things trying to make their player look better. And so you take that movie, which it was modeled after Jerry Maguire was modeled after Lee Steinberg and then Jeff Morad, who used to be my boss. So it was really interesting to see how they really did dive into these agents who super agents and really try to understand how they operate.
Absolutely. A game changing movie.
Mhm. I mean, and you
And then,
can't hear "Show Me the Money."
no. What about you? Do you have Oscar movie?
You know, one I really liked until the end was Ford versus Ferrari. It was a really excellently done movie. I really did like that one. I've seen The Blind Side. I've seen Rocky, but it's probably been a really long time since I've seen a Rocky movie.
Yeah. I'm kind of shocked that Rocky won. I guess I really didn't know that until kind of researching for this podcast. What a
Well, and I mean,
big
I don't know
deal.
what it was up against.
That's
Sorry.
true.
But I can't remember which Rocky it is, but he goes to, like, Russia to train, and all
Mhm.
of a sudden he's running through the snow, and I said to my husband, I said, "Wouldn't that be really funny if he was training in Jackson Hole?" My in-laws used to live in Wyoming, and no kidding, 5 seconds later, there's the view of the Grand Tetons, which do not are not in Russia, last time I checked.
Really?
Mhm, and it's like, it's a very notable mountain range, so, it was kinda funny. I was like, "Oh, no, I we know exactly where he's running."
And then you went out and recreated the workout, I
I
assume.
should have. We that was a mistake when we did Christmas up there. That was a mistake not to go
Well,
recreate that. Damn. In our footed pajamas.
yeah.
Let's see, what else? I mean, The Blind Side is interesting. It was a good movie, but now looking at all the controversy
Yeah.
between the Toohey family and Michael Oher, you're like, "Oh, well, this kind of makes me feel kind of icky."
Kind of been tainted, the whole story.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, yeah, we've seen that one as well. But yeah, it's kind of got a different feel now.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
And then
And
what?
that's where Sandra Bullock
Million Dollar
Go
Baby?
ahead.
Well,
I've never seen Million Dollar Baby. I've heard it's incredible, and it's always been on my list. I mean, anything with Hilary Swank and Clint Eastwood as a director, I mean, can't be bad. Morgan Freeman. I mean, they have, if I remember correctly, they have, let's see, they came home with 4, I think 4, Oscars, and only can be said by that is, Chariots of Fire. They also came home with 4, including the most iconic score in a movie. almost ever.
Yes. Yeah, so Million
I
Dollar
should
Baby is actually pretty legendary with that cast.
absolutely. Well, we'll all have to dive into Netflix to catch
Mhm.
the one that's nominated. The Impossible, is that what I believe it's called? The Impossible on Netflix?
The Society of the Snow.
Society of the Snow. Oh, what's that?
Yes.
Okay, so that is Society of the Snow. So the Society of the Snow on Netflix, if you wanna watch a sports movie that's been nominated for an Oscar this year. We
Mhm.
probably won't see those people called to stage even if they do win because there's a smaller category. But,
Yes.
it's always something to say, "Hey, I've seen it," and apparently it's entertaining according to, Scott's Barber.
Yes. Highly recommended.
Is there anything you would like to leave us with? Do you have an Oscar bracket that you put out? We should maybe do an Oscar bracket. That'd be kinda fun.
I think you just had a great idea. Look for our Oscar bracket.
Ta-da!
There we go.
Okay,
And then we've
we'll have
got,
to look at
I was just gonna say Jimmy Kimmel's the host, formerly of the
that's right.
Jimmy Kimmel bowl game in LA, formerly.
And
So
it's the 96th Academy Awards, so we are almost there, almost to 100.
I will vow to watch one movie nominated for the 100th anniversary.
Way to kick that can down the road to Scott in 4 years.
Play this clip back and we'll talk.
I think you need to watch King Richard.
Okay. I
How's
can
that
do that.
sound for a deal? Okay,
Okay.
I like it. Well, the Oscars are on pulling up my calendar Sunday, March 10th, so make sure
Mhm.
you tune in to watch Jimmy Kimmel, who will probably not roast anyone too badly because I think a lot of those people are his friends, but it should be a great
Maybe Aaron
time.
Rodgers, probably. Roast him.
Oh, probably true that he and Aaron Rodgers do not like each other. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, wait to see
Probably a
how
roast,
he
yes.
yeah. Luckily for Aaron Rodgers, he's not dating a Hollywood movie star right now, so he won't be there.
Unless he's the ultimate troll.
That's true. That would be kind of funny. So, oh boy. Well, stay tuned, and we look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of our podcast. Have a good one, Scott.
Thank you.